What is up, everybody? You're tuning in to the Riddle Me That podcast with your host, Alex Riddle. I hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving break. We had a Thanksgiving break here in the RMT booth, a couple weeks off, but we are back and we got lots of action going on. It is college football playoff season. It's heart of college basketball. It's NBA. It's NFL playoffs on the rise. And of course, our Fichtner Cup fantasy world of champions, end of the year race for glory. It's that type of year. Are you making the fantasy playoffs? Are you not? Are you preparing for punishments? Are you trying to win the big one? First things first here, college football last weekend was crazy. I guess before I should even get into college football, it is also college football bowl season here, and we have a Riddle Me That 2024 group that is starting this year. So if you want to join the RMT Bowl Challenge, it's free. The winner will get a special shout out, maybe even an appearance on the RMT podcast. If you want to raise the stakes, I am open for that. We didn't want to start it as a group decision here. It was decided not to make a pot, but if people are interested, let me know on the side and we can raise the stakes to get some money involved. I know people like to gamble out there. I know I like to partake in some Christmas sports betting. So if you want to join the ESPN. So first of all, download the ESPN Fantasy app and join it is Riddle Me That 2024. If you type that in, you will find the group. It is open. You just join it, make your team name, and then once the Bulls are released in the next couple of weeks, you can make your picks. Highest player in the standings will win the group. So looking forward to that. I'm always terrible at bowls, but this year maybe I'll step it up. I think this year I'll just start closing my eyes and using a random name generator to make my picks this year. Usually my bowl picks are, because you never know, right? Someone might be out. A couple players might decide they want to opt in or opt out to go into the NFL. So it's always something to look forward to, but also once you get into bowl season, sometimes you're hoping for it to end. So, but looking forward to college football playoffs merging with the end of the NFL season. It's a really, when it's cold outside, it's 15 degrees. Why else? Where else would you want to be than sweat out bets in the city of Chicago here? But going into last weekend here, so I want to start before we get into our bet of the week. I want to start with the action that happened in college football last weekend, starting with Ohio State, Michigan, quote unquote, the game, right? Everyone looks forward to that game. It's always the last week of the regular season. Huge upset win for Michigan, 19-point dogs, right? On the road at Ohio State. Yes, Ohio State's still going to be in the college football playoff. We'll get into where the teams are seated going into the college football championship weekend. But really embarrassing loss for Ohio State. I mean, haven't beat Michigan. I think it's 4 straight times now. I could be wrong, but 4. I believe the last 4 have all gone to Michigan. And this was the year where Ohio State was just supposed to roll. And it was quite exactly the opposite. It was a grinded out game, but Michigan just kind of seemed like, they were playing with house money. They had nothing to lose going into Ohio State. They just played harder. I feel like they made the right plays. They ran the ball really well. They played that Michigan style offense that just kind of wears you down. And even when you thought Ohio State might run away with it, picks, right? Michigan with a couple key interceptions and a big run at the end of the game to win by a field goal. I mean, Ohio State still had the ball left with like 50 seconds left to drive down and try to get a field goal on the board, and they couldn't do it. So Michigan, going into bowl season 7-5, they're going to get a bowl. I'm not sure where they're going to go, but probably feeling pretty good about themselves, especially getting the number 1 quarterback recruit for next year coming to Michigan, decommitted from LSU. So that's pretty big news. People think Dave Portnoy from Barstool had something to do with that. I don't know if that's true. He did say he was going to recruit the number 1 quarterback in the country, and he did just that. So we will see. Michigan, it's weird because they win the championship last year. A 7-5 year is a down year based off if you did win a ship. But next year, I mean, they're riding some Ohio State momentum into next year. I'll be interested to see if Michigan can get back, to where they were last year. in the national championship. Ohio State, man. So I actually saw once they lost, they were like the most bet on team on, the handle and the percentage of bets to win the championship. I don't really get where that's coming from. Me as a sports bettor myself, I don't think, like, I get where people are coming from. Oh, they just lost. People think they're done. Ohio State. I don't know. I don't think they looked that good. Really. I mean, they had that loss to Oregon earlier this year where, yeah, it was a close game, but, Spencer Howard, or is it Spencer Howard or is it Will Howard? Do we know, boys? Howard, let's go with Howard, doesn't seem to like to show up in the big moments. Made a really ill-advised play at the end of that Ohio State Oregon game where he dove, didn't get a timeout in, or he slid, I should say. All he needed was that field goal, and they couldn't do it. Time management means something, and if you can't manage the clock properly at the end of the game, why would I trust you to win, 3 big games in this new college football playoff? I mean, it says here on the bracket here that they're going to have to play Tennessee first round. Now, Ohio State is projected that 8th seed right now, so they do get that home game. But Tennessee, man, I wouldn't want to play Tennessee first round. I mean, that's a dangerous ball club. So basically, Ohio State went from like 1 or 2 all the way down to like 8 seeds. So that's a huge loss to Michigan because it bumps you out of the of the Big Ten championship game. So now the Big Ten championship is going to be Oregon against Penn State instead of the Buckeyes. So really bad loss for Ohio State. And the whole controversial ending with the fight. I love the fight in the field. I was actually FaceTiming Holman, and all of a sudden they're doing a news conference, and all of a sudden there's just bodies flying. And then I didn't understand that they did put the flag in the field. I don't see what the big deal is. It's a flag. Like, it's a huge rivalry game. Like, I get it. Like, you're bummed out, and other team is letting you hear it. But I mean, that's life. I mean, what do you think? It's the biggest rivalry in sports. It'd be weird if the other team wasn't showboating a little bit. I mean, they just came into your house and had a 20-point upset victory. I mean, you guys should be ashamed. I mean, why are we even still out in the field? Like, get in the locker room and get out of there. Why are we messing with? I mean, they're just antagonizing you, and you're doing exactly what they want. And of course, the Ohio State coach, Ryan Day, I mean, he basically supported it. Was like, well, they're putting a flag in our. I'm like, dude, you can't win a big game if your life depended on it. I don't know what his future is. I mean, he's pretty much playing for his job. I mean, it's not. I think he is playing for his job. Wants to go to the college football playoff. If they don't see results, I think he's gone. I mean, he has an unbelievable record, but when you're at a school like Ohio State, you expect championships, and when you can't come up with one, you're gonna have to hit the road. Now, he's someone that, if he hits the road, he's gonna find another job probably somewhere. Maybe not as a head coach at a big school, but maybe offensive coordinator. I mean, I don't know what it's gonna be, but it's not gonna be the head coach of the Buckeyes, that's for sure. I heard people saying bring back Urban Meyer. I don't know if that's the move either. I mean, he's smoking bongs somewhere in a trailer, doing his commentary. I don't know if you guys have seen that video where he was getting interviewed, and I don't know if it was a friend or a roommate or what, was like packing a bowl in the background and was trying to like pass it to him. He was like, it was bizarre. I mean, that was a few years ago, but like, Urban Meyer is a great coach, but I feel like I don't think you bring him back. I mean, that's too much of a track record. That's kind of like a Calipari move, right, Jonas? When you say at Kentucky, I mean, that's kind of like you're asking for trouble. So Ohio State going to the playoffs, Michigan is not, but ultimately Michigan getting that win is the big storyline, maybe of the whole college football season. Syracuse and Miami, #sorry Miles. Miami needing a win at Syracuse to keep their college football hopes alive, and they could not get it done. Moving to 10-2 on the year. I mean, what a year for the Hurricanes. The only problem is no top 25 wins, I believe. So no real significant wins. Now, Miami's looked good. They are a good team. They've had some unbelievable comebacks. I mean, they have Cam Ward at quarterback. The receiver Restrepo. I mean, and the defense. But I mean, you can't go to Syracuse. You can't lose to Georgia Tech, and those be your 2 losses. When we're talking about the college football playoffs, I mean, this is the first year of the 12. But I mean, I just know in general, a couple losses like that. Now, I will admit, I mean, this will get into our next little segment here in the college football land. But I will admit, like a team like Alabama, who's somehow, I mean, they have 3 losses. They're still in the college football playoff. I get it. Their schedule's a gauntlet. They're in the SEC. It's a different ballgame. But 3 losses, right? I don't know. I mean, Miami, despite the no significant wins, I mean, they've looked good and they've handled teams and they've never, I mean, Alabama just got blown out at Oklahoma, like a bad Oklahoma team. Like I think Oklahoma was like 1-5 in conference, hashtag Marvinville, right? I'm sure Marvin was happy. He's an Oklahoma guy. But I'm just telling you right now, I mean, Miami has not got blown out once. And when they have been getting blown out, they've come back and competed. I mean, Alabama just gave up. And I feel like it is true. Like the committee is like, when in doubt, they're going to give Alabama the benefit of the doubt because of the program. But I think that's BS. I mean, if you're truly a committee and you're taking the 12 right teams, I believe even with 2 losses, Miami deserves a shot here. I mean, 2 losses, but at Syracuse, I mean, Syracuse, they're no joke either. I mean, Kyle McCord, I think led the league in passing yards. I mean, that's not a bad team. At Syracuse, I mean, that crowd was going nuts in the Dome. I think Syracuse is a good team, and I don't think it's a bad loss. I mean, it's bad loss considering what the stakes were, but ultimately, most teams would go into that spot and lose that game. And Miami had that game. And it is sad, the way Miami loses, they kind of do it to themselves. They just, they can't convert on the big plays, costly turnovers. You can't put yourself in position to lose every game and expect to come out alive. And that's what they were doing, right? They were like winning these like 1 or 2 point games, coming back. And it's hard to keep doing that, especially once it gets towards the end of the year when everyone's bringing your best stuff. So great win for Syracuse. Very tough loss for Miami, putting them on the first team out of the 12-team bracket here. So we'll see what the committee, I mean, there's conference championships this weekend, but they did say if you don't play this weekend, you really aren't going to change. So pretty much they're just teasing Miami at this point. But again, I'm not on the committee, so I don't know if all of a sudden they're going to say all this and then just change their minds. That seems to be the thing in college football is the rules seem pretty unclear of like what's really going on to get these teams in. They always say one thing, but then they're biased towards the other, and it's like, I mean, even last year with Florida State, I think they were undefeated, but since they lost their quarterback, right, they didn't get into the 4-teamer. I mean, that's brutal. You won every game on your schedule, but you know what? Just wasn't quality enough. So I mean, if that's the case, you better be scheduling the hardest games you can find, because obviously, if you don't schedule a tough enough schedule, your conference not as strong, it will affect what the committee thinks. But I guess now with the 12-team format, that is different based on the teams that are in, which is good. This is why they expanded this year. I'm excited for this 12-team format. It will be good for college football. Another game here, South Carolina, Clemson. Another huge road upset last weekend. South Carolina, I mean, only 3-point dogs, but going into Clemson, getting that win. Ultimately, though, it doesn't matter because Syracuse beat Miami, so Clemson will be playing in the ACC championship game. But I guess, yeah, South Carolina on the outside of the college playoff, but what a year they've had. I mean, they've won their last like 6 games, I think, and they go into Clemson. No one thinks they're going to win that game. I mean, they weren't huge underdogs, but they were underdogs. I mean, that's Death Valley, or is that Happy Valley? Which one is Dabo's? One of the valleys, because I know there's a couple of valley schools, but they have like this big hill where like the Clemson guys like run down. And it's like pretty intimidating actually, if you're the other team. But obviously South Carolina wasn't phased by this. They had a game-winning rushing touchdown by the quarterback, 25-yard scamper. I mean, it was pretty sick going into Clemson. Loved seeing Dabo Swinney lose. I can't lie. He's such an animated coach, and seeing him sad sometimes makes me, because they've had so much success there. I don't feel bad for coaches that have won a lot, when your team actually, this Clemson used to be like that team, that was, 11-1, 12-0, competing with Bama for a ship. But now, they're still good, but they're not that same Clemson team that they once were. But like as an organization, they win so much. I don't feel bad for you anymore. So, when he has his little sad press conferences, it's like, so be it. But Clemson, the Syracuse coach literally said, "There you go, Dabo," in his post game, on the field right after the win. He's like, "There you go, Dabo, I got you." That it's like, I don't know if he was kidding or if he was like happy for him. I don't know if the Syracuse coach must be some sort of ex-Clemson coach. I mean, all those head coaches are assistant coaches for some big star at some organization. So huge win for South Carolina. I don't know how much that does for them for the college football playoff, but I do know that, this is the best year they've had in a few years, and they're going to be in a good bowl game. And having this exposure, it's ultimately just good for your college program. Even if you don't win the ship, you're going to get recruits for the following seasons, especially when you finish, top 15. Hoosiers and Purdue. This is a big game for Hoosiers. They needed a win, and they got it 66-0 against Purdue. I think the Hoosiers were like 28.5 points favorites, and I think the over-under was like 56. So they covered the total all by themselves. So great day for Hoosier land, but even better for the college football playoff. Now projected 10 seed. They had a few teams lose for them, like Ole Miss against Florida, and then they had a couple other teams lose. It was kind of like a domino effect for them to kind of, Bama losing was huge. So it puts them, because that's the thing with Indiana is there's no top 25 wins on their resume, even though they've played what's on their schedule and they've dominated teams, but that lost to Ohio State. They were competing against them, but then ultimately, did lose. So, but winning that last game convincingly, having the year that they had, they're in the college football playoff. It's going to be tough, though. They're projected to play Georgia right now, at Georgia. But, if there's one team with nothing to lose, it's Indiana. They've had the best season they could have asked for. Their coach got extended, Signetti. Coach Sig, that guy, literally got votes for president. Basically, he was probably people from Indiana. So, basically, it was Trump votes. But, essentially, Signetti with 300. I saw it was like he had like 300 people to at least vote for him, like in the ballot. That's crazy. But so I don't know too many head coaches getting that type of love. But Indiana Hoosiers have been a great story this year. Happy to see that they get a chance to at least compete in the big dance here. Definitely deserving, schedule or not. But that's kind of like the Miami argument, right? But I will say Indiana, one less loss, right? 11-1. I think if Indiana's 10-2, they're not on here. So ultimately, Miami did kind of screw themselves with that last loss for Syracuse, whether it was a good or bad loss. If you hear the garbage truck in the background, we'll do our best to edit some of that out. But I do live in an alley where they seem to, we try to tie up our show with them not being here, and they always seem to come right in the middle of it. So that is a dumpster truck in the background. We have a great setup in this apartment, in the studio. So setup's good. Execution with the alley is just uncontrollable. I guess the next step would be to get soundproof glass, but we're not the Matrix here, and we're not FBI, so we don't have that equipment here.
I said just wait.
Yeah. Oh, we just wait for the garbage truck?
Yeah. Should be done.
It's not that loud though. It's honestly, it's gonna be going for another 10 minutes. Let's just keep going. It's all good.
Will Howard.
Yeah, Will Howard. All right. What I say? I said Spencer Howard and then Will Howard. Okay, I was on it. Let's go to a quick. So before we get into conference championships this weekend, I just want to say what the current bracket looks like for the college football playoff here. So at the 12-5 right now, we have Arizona State against Penn State. Both teams are in so Arizona State's playing for the Big 12 championship. Penn State's playing for the Big 10 championship. So those seeds could change. Arizona State does have to win and get in. So if they lose, they will be out. But they're the current 12 seed right now. Penn State does not have to win. They will be in, even if a loss to Oregon in the conference championship. Tennessee at 9, Ohio State 8. We already talked about that. That 8-9 matchup in Ohio State as of right now. But that looks like that probably might stay. Alabama as the 11 seed at Notre Dame as a 6 seed. Notre Dame, that's a team no one talks about. They're 11-1. They had one loss all season to Northern Illinois, right? Shout out Northern Illinois Huskies. Shout out Lauderdale. I know he was watching that game. I know he was. He might have been. No, that was at Notre Dame. The Lewis Bros were at that game. That's a hell of a game to go to. Choose a game and it's NIU upsetting. I don't think NIU even had that great of a year towards the end. Maybe they did. I'll have to look that up. But NIU out of nowhere at Notre Dame, and then after that, but they kind of just sparked Notre Dame. They were winning by 30 every game after that, so maybe it was a good thing for them. But they're in. the college football. I mean, that's a dark horse team. I'm going to say that right now. That's a dark horse team to make it all the way because that's a team no one's talking about to win it all. And I'm not a Notre Dame guy, right? But I will say this is a team that can run the ball. They have good defense. They seem to just come up with big plays. They're well coached. I like Notre Dame. Playing Bama. I mean, I just told you Bama lost to Oklahoma. I can safely say Notre Dame will destroy Alabama. I mean, I might mark my words, but I think the way I've seen it, it's hard to bet against Bama, but Notre Dame at home for a college football playoff, it's tough to bet against that team. Hoosiers at Georgia as the last one. So 10-seeded Hoosiers at 7-seeded Georgia. Georgia on paper, yes, but I'm telling you right now, the Hoosiers are going to come to play. I mean, Georgia just won in 8 overtimes against Georgia Tech. That's a game that I was going to get into. Georgia Tech up 2 scores against Georgia. Georgia coming back, going to 8 overtimes. And Georgia gets it done by 2. Because you know how once he goes past 2 overtimes, it's just 2-point conversion tries. So it was just back and forth. Georgia got it done. I think Indiana with their offense could compete with Georgia. I'm not saying they can win, but I'm saying they have absolutely nothing to lose. They're a scary offense. Their defense shows up when they need it. Georgia has shown this year that they can, they're still Georgia, and they have that experience, but I'm telling you right now, the Hoosiers have nothing to lose. They're coming off a 66-0 win. I know it's Purdue, but team's ready to go. They're going to be hyped up. Don't be surprised if the Hoosiers play one hell of a game in that matchup. College football championships this weekend. Few matchups I want to hop into here. First one is UNLV Boise State. So that's actually Friday night. That's tonight. 20-seeded UNLV going into, they're not going into, but they're neutral site against 10-seed Boise State. Right now, Boise State projected 4 seed in the tournament. But if they lose to UNLV, right, I believe that takes Boise State out. Now, I'm going to say I believe because I'm not the college football committee, so they're giving us kind of, their idea of what's going to happen, but I'm not sure. So take this with a grain of salt, but I believe this is the scenario is if Boise State loses, I believe they're out. And UNLV will then sneak in as a 12 seed, and then whoever wins the Big 12 championship, right, which could be like Arizona State, who's a current projected 12 seed, will be the 11 seed. So that's what they were saying on Twitter. I think Boise State wins this game, but I think it's close. I think UNLV, I mean, they're 10-2, right? They had a win at Kansas earlier this year, who Kansas beat a lot of good teams this year. I think that UNLV keeps it close, but I think Boise, Ashton Gentry, running back, who's going to be a top 3 pick in the draft next year. I think they get it done. Too good of a season to not finish it tonight. But again, it's conference championship, toss-up game here. Spread is 4.5 for Boise State. I wouldn't touch that, right? But I would take Boise money line in a parlay. So Boise State, give me the chalk here. I'm not going to be ballsy and take UNLV, even though, some people are, Las Vegas running Rebels. Someone's taking them out there. Tulane against Army tonight. That's another conference championship. No college football playoff implications here. 5-point favorites for Tulane. 9-3 on the year. Army 10-1 for the boys that represent our country. Right? The Army, I know. Army, Navy, I mean, these teams were like a combined 19-2 this year. We are going to take the upset here in Army. Give me the +5. Give me the Soldiers. Again, too good of a year to not finish it out the right way. Tulane's been great. Great offense, but I think that weird Army, Naval Academy style play, they'll hold on to the ball to the while. They'll grind it out. I think Army keeps it close and gets it done at the end. Let's go Army. I don't think I've ever bet on Army before, but I might have to. Iowa State, Arizona State. So this is the Big 12 championship here, taking place tomorrow at 11 a.m. We're rolling with the Sun Devils here. They've been a great story this year. Now, they don't have a kicker. I mean, their kicking game is horrible. They literally had open tryouts midway through the year. But their defense and their running back and Scadaboo, who's going to be a great NFL running back, they've been hot. I love the Sun Devils here. Only 1.5 point favorites. Iowa State, always frisky, right? Good defense. But I think Arizona State, it's their time. I don't know if this gets Iowa State in the... Yes, have we looked up if Iowa State gets in, if they won't get in, if they... Yeah, we don't know if this... Iowa State's ranked 16th, so I'm not sure if... I think if they win, they're in instead of Arizona State, I believe. So I believe this has implications for the college football playoff. Again, I'm not the committee, but I believe that's what it would look like. Yeah, they're only one seated lower than Arizona State. So I think Iowa State wins, they're in. Arizona State wins, they're in. Georgia, Texas for the SEC championship. That's weird saying Texas for an SEC championship. They've always been in the Big 12. 2.5 point favorites for Texas. And we're rolling with Texas here. I like Texas here. One loss all season. And Georgia whooping that Longhorns ass earlier in the year. On the road, I think Texas gets it done. And I think Longhorns could win the whole thing. I'm not a Longhorn guy, but I have a feeling, just like Notre Dame, everyone's talking about Oregon, everyone's talking about Ohio State, everyone's still betting on Ohio State. I'm rolling with Texas, or I'm rolling with Notre Dame or a team like that. I like Texas here. I think they get it done. Lot to prove. Horns up. Horns up. 7 o'clock, Penn State, Oregon, Big Ten championship here. Everyone's going to take Oregon, right? They're going to say, who's going to win the Big Ten championship? Oregon. I mean, if I did a survey, it would be Oregon. So we're going to ride with Penn State here. And we're going to take the plus 3.5. Wasn't supposed to be here. It was supposed to be Ohio State. No one's going to give them a chance. Only 3-point underdogs. Give me Nittany Lions here. I know they can't win that big game, but why not? I mean, Big Ten championship, I'm telling you, no one's going to touch Oregon. I love Oregon. I totally can see them winning this game. I mean, they should win this game. But something screams Penn State's going to keep this game tight. Give me Penn State plus 3.5 for the Big Ten championship game. Last game here, Clemson, SMU. Another game with college football playoff implications here. SMU projected bye right now. So 11-1 SMU against 9-3 Clemson, right? But if Clemson wins this game, they will make it into the big dance. Probably be one of those last 10 through 12 seeds. But if SMU wins, they're going to get that bye, right? As like a 3 seed, which is crazy. So I hate to say this. Give me SMU here to win this game. I really wanted to say Clemson, but I hate Clemson, right? They're lame. I'm not really a Dabo guy. He kind of rubs me the wrong way. Give me SMU minus 2.5 to make it to the college football playoff. Let's go Mustangs. Just another reminder, Riddle Me That Bracket Challenge brought to you by RMT and Sentato, one that gave me the idea. But if you want to join the Bracket Challenge, type in Riddle Me That 2024 on the ESPN Fantasy app. And it's open, so you just join it. It's public. You don't need a password. Just join it. You are in. As I said, if you want to raise the stakes, you let me know on the side. We can make that happen. Going into college basketball here. Actually going to the Northwestern game tonight, taking on U of I, University of Illinois. 3-point dogs at home, coming off a horrible loss. Oh, I wouldn't say horrible, but a devastating loss to Iowa on Tuesday. Northwestern at one point down 17 points. Okay, they don't beat Iowa, all right? They've lost now 13 out of 15 games to the Hawkeyes. Down by at once 17 points at Iowa on Tuesday. Come all the way back to take a 6-point lead with just under 2 minutes. Iowa comes back, but Northwestern prevails. They go up 2. Iowa misses a shot, gets a rebound, calls a timeout with 0.8 seconds left. And just when you think the Cats are going to pull off their best win of the year, Iowa Hawkeyes pointing down the clock. Josh Dix, right? Gets the ball, throws up a 36-footer. Bang. Just like it was in 2019 with Bohannon. It was the same score. 79-77. Northwestern, Bohannon with 2 seconds left, 3-pointer for the win. Almost an identical shot. You can't even make it up. 5 years. It's like the 5-year anniversary of the shot. Right? And of course, the Cats again with another devastating loss. Had another devastating loss last week to Butler by 2 points. Brooks Barnheiser hitting a three while getting fouled, but they said that he fouled him before the shot. They were down 3, so Butler was trying to foul, so they couldn't get a 3 up. I swear they got it up. I'm probably being biased, but he got it up, makes the shot and 1-3, but they reverse it. Cats ended up getting down by 2, 5 seconds left, get the rebound off a missed free throw, get all the way to the rack, miss a layup, miss the tip in. Everyone's on the floor. I'm on the floor. Luckily on Tuesday, I had my paddle match, so I wasn't able to watch the Northwestern game because it was also on Peacock. So usually I just record it because the game was at 6. I wouldn't be able to watch the game till like 9. But naturally off the court, had about 30 missed text messages. I already knew my fate before I opened up my phone. Wasn't going to be anything nice. That's for sure. And right when it was worst case, I mean, in my head, I watched the first half of the game and Northwestern was down, and I wasn't even that mad. I was like, you know what, the boys are trying. Iowa's making threes. Let's move on to the next game. And of course, to come all the way back and do that, I was happy I didn't have to. I'd be on the floor again. That's my move. I just do what the players do. When you lose in devastating fashion, you go to the floor, you reassess, but then you get back up. So that's exactly what we're doing tonight. We're getting back up. We're going to Welsh Ryan. We're trying to reel home a W tonight for the Cats. It'd be a huge game. U of I, coming off a huge win against ranked Arkansas, is now ranked themselves. So they're ranked 19th, 7-1 on the year, taking on the 6-3 Cats. It's going to be a whiteout tonight. Student section should be rocking at Welsh. I think it's going to be a good environment. I think the Cats are going to find a way to get it done. I hope so. Right? But I mean, it feels like a must-win game. I know it's early in the season. It just feels like a game that would be really nice for the Cats to have in their back pocket, especially going into Big Ten season. Their schedule's insane. It's a gauntlet schedule. Have about 12 or 13 quad one games out of their next 17 or 18 games. So they're going to be backs against the wall. We need a win against U of I tonight, but we're going to be there. We're going to reel home a W tonight for the community. Gonzaga Bulldogs taking on Jonas's Kentucky Blue tomorrow, 4-7. Jonas doesn't seem worried about Kentucky Blue, but I think he should be a little bit. Zags are different breed this year. They're one loss coming against West Virginia, who, if you watched Feast Week last week, looked damn good. I mean, they were supposed to be the quad 3 game for Gonzaga. They're now a quad 1 loss because they're now ranked after the start they've had this year. Tucker DeVries transfer from Drake. He was balling out in the battle for Atlantis, beating Gonzaga in overtime in the first round. Gonzaga ended up beating ranked Indiana the next game and then took care of Davidson. So not a bad trip. But ultimately, we want to cut down the nets for the battle and weren't able to. But it doesn't matter, right? Because it's not about cutting down the nets now. It's about cutting down the nets in March. Taking on Kentucky on Saturday, it's going to be, it's a late night game, 9 o'clock game. Kentucky coming off a tough loss at Clemson, who's a very well-respected team. Tough week, of tough stretch of games for Kentucky. I mean, this is the time of year where all of a sudden you play those cupcake games and then all of a sudden you're playing the big boys. So the spread is not out. They don't put the spread out until like literally the night before. So I don't know what the spread is for the Zags, Kentucky, but I feel like it's going to be a close game, especially Kentucky coming off that loss. Zags coming off that loss last week. No one wants to lose this game, but I think it's going to be hard battled. Might come down to the last few possessions, as usually these games are, top 10 matchup. But yeah, top 10 matchup at night on a Saturday doesn't get much better than that. Love me some Zags, though. I mean, if I say it before on the pod, if not this year, when for Gonzaga? I mean, they've never won a championship. They're great at this time of the year. They always schedule their non-conference very challenging, and they do very well. But ultimately, hopefully, since they have other teams in their conference this year, like Oregon State, Washington State, I mean, they got a couple new teams. Hopefully they have a couple more challenging games in their regular conference schedule before the tournament. Because obviously, they've made, I think, 8 or 9 straight Sweet 16s. So when when people tell me that Gonzaga is choke artists and they're frauds, it's like, okay, yeah, they don't win the big thing, but they've lost 2 national championships in the last 6 years. I mean, they've made it there and lost. I mean, versus North Carolina and Baylor, 2 legit programs. It's not easy to win the whole thing, but to have the consistency of making it to a Sweet 16 every single year like it's nothing, I mean, that's pretty impressive. I mean, that's my life goal for Northwestern to make the Sweet 16, right? And Gonzaga does it in their sleep. So they're a program that, yes, that they need to get the monkey off their back and win a championship, but their time's coming. But this team feels like they have what it takes to make a run this year, and I hope that's the case. But I'm sure a lot of teams are saying the same thing. It's early in the year; everyone feels like they can win the ship. I'll come back to you on the next pod and see where we're at after Kentucky blew. Bet of the week this week, though. We're taking it to the NFL. It's probably the grossest, most illegal bet I've ever come up with that is just diabolical. I don't really know where I'm going with this, but if you're wondering what my rationale is, I'll tell it to you right now. The bet of the week is the Carolina Panthers plus 13 on the road in Philadelphia on Sunday. Right? So the 3-9 Panthers going into the 10-2 Eagles. Yes, on paper, I can't believe I'm even talking about this. It's so bad. But hear me out here, right? The Eagles, again, you know how I was just talking about the Oregon-Penn State factor here. If I went into a room of 200 people and I said, who's going to win the game on Sunday between the Carolina Panthers and the Philadelphia Eagles, I can safely say about 198 or 199 of those people will say the Philadelphia Eagles. And for good reason. If you watch football, right, yes, there should be no debate on who wins this game. But I'm telling you right now, right, when there's no doubt in people's minds, especially when it comes to sports, it's when the doubt should creep in. And I'm telling you right now, the Panthers getting 13 points, that's a lot of points in the NFL. Right? 13 is a lot. And yeah, teams like the Lions have showed that they can cover. I believe they were 14-point favorites against the Jaguars and won by about 50. But the Jaguars are like a minor league team. The Panthers have actually been playing better ball recently with Bryce Young. Bryce Young has come back, and they took the Buccaneers to overtime last week and lost by 3. The Buccaneers are not the Philadelphia Eagles, but they still had Baker Mayfield, Mike Evans, Bucky Irving. I mean, it's a team that should pounce on the Panthers, and they didn't. Right? The Panthers hung in with the Kansas City Chiefs. I believe the Chiefs won on a game-winning field goal. Right? Again, I know the Chiefs do that every week, but the Panthers, right, hung in the whole game. Especially, I know this is on the road. Eagles are coming off, just gauntlet wins, and that's why I think this is kind of like a look me over game for the Eagles. Now, I have not yet said that the Panthers are going to win. I think, I might have to drink a little bit, but I might sprinkle the money line on the Panthers too, right? But I'm telling you right now, plus 13 is a lot of points. I think the Panthers, for whatever reason, are going to hang around. It may or not be true too that in the fantasy league I am playing against Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley as well. So this could be a huge bias bet, but we are 1-1 on the bet of the weeks, right? My first bet, I had Santa Clara and Kansas. Kansas won, Santa Clara lost, so that's a red X. Loss, 0-1. But then we bounced back with Saquon and the Eagles, right? Touchdown and money line. Cash. So 1-1 on the year. And we're sticking with the Eagles for whatever reason. And hey, Saquon can score his touchdown. They can get a little offensive production for my fantasy guys. Or Panthers can go in there, give him a hell of a ball game, and lose by a touchdown. And we're cashing bet of the week. So Carolina Panthers, plus 13. Sprinkle the money line if you're dirty. Bryce Young, anytime touchdown for plus $1 million as well if you're really feeling dirty. All right, when's the last time he's found the end zone? I don't know. But probably never. But the fact that he still has a job is a fascinating story. So I think Bryce Young's playing for his life again on Sunday. I love a guy that's playing for his life. I mean, look at Jameis Winston last week playing for one. He throws 600 yards versus Denver defense, who's one of the top defenses. Anything can happen. I'm a guy that I see 13 points, and I just think, Again, if you've watched football, you've noticed that the Panthers are not getting blown out as bad as they were in the start of the years. And that starts with their quarterback play. So I think Bryce Young has been rejuvenated. He got benched. He's back. He's responding. Again, they don't have to win. They just got to keep it a ball game. So
two rushing touchdowns.
Oh, for Bryce? Okay. Bryce Young, anytime touchdown, book it. Right? Okay, he has 2, so that's a rationale. So if you're really dirty, you take Bryce Young anytime with the Panthers money line. All right, I'm gonna stop there. But those and we'll come back this week, and either I'm a genius or no one's gonna be watching this show anymore because it's gonna be like 50-0 Eagles. But either way, let's go. It's football, baby. All right, so let's go into the NFL rundown here before we get into Fichtner Fantasy Land here. All the way, so not the podcast league that we talk about, but the North Side League. Shout out Sentato, commissioner, for running another great league this year. Both of us not making the playoffs, first time ever. So that's a little sad. But hey, win or lose, still a good commissioner. Keeps the boys updated on the stats. Keeps the storylines going. That's what it's all about. And hopefully we can shut down Walls at the end of this year. I know he wishes he was, part of this podcast league, but he's not. He wishes he's in his own fantasy land. He does watch the pod though. I've seen him share multiple Riddle Me That podcasts, and he'll tag me in it. So he definitely, he'll hopefully put this in his car, and he won't be expecting this, and all of a sudden we're just shitting on him. But it's what happens when you text the boys 50 times a day, and then when something goes bad, you go quiet. Ooh, did I just call him out? Sorry, Walls. Get your own pod, Walls, or come on the pod. Imagine if Walls was on the podcast. That'd be crazy. He'd be like acting like all professional. I'm like, dude, just start saying all those dirtbag comments. Who cares? Okay. Noon slate here. So we already had our Thursday night game, Packers and the Lions. Great game. Sentato plus 3.5 Packers. Cash that ticket. Actually a great bet. Lions have been good, but Packers have been just as good. They keep it close. What's getting a little dicey, but the Lions going for it on their own field, the 4th down, not getting it really helped the Packers there. Even though they worked at the end of the game when it was 4th and inches, tie ball game, and they go for it anyway. I think it was 4th and 1, or I mean 4th and, I don't know, whatever. Big balls by Campbell. Even though Jared Goff stumbled back and almost that'd be a fumble in college, right? Because that knee went down. Mm-hmm. In college, if your knee is down, even if you're not touched, you're down. So, but Lions did hold on to win that game. The Lions, what are they? 12-1, 11-1, 12-1. Detroit Lions. That's a hell of a. I never thought. I remember the Lions going winless, right? With Calvin Johnson, right? Wasn't he on that team, or was he on the? He was right around that time. It was the whole Calvin Johnson, it's not a catch era that was like the worst era ever for the Lions. Like Matt Stafford, Calvin Johnson, 2 amazing players, and they couldn't do anything. Sad. But now karma. Hey, that's why you watch sports, right? All Lions fans have been waiting for the last couple of years to have a 2 or 3 year stretch like this, and they're having one. So I can get around for the Detroit Lions to win. I would root for that team. Okay. Going through all the NFL teams here, quick rundown here, give you my bets for each one, and of course we'll form a Riddle Me That parlay with it. We've been close. If you listen to the show the last couple of weeks, if you just take all these separately, you're a rich man. Of course, I didn't do it, but if you do what Riddle Me That does and just put a $2 bet down on all of these, and hopefully cash the big one. But hey, man can dream, right? Let's go through these bets here. Jacksonville Jaguars at Tennessee Titans. So these are the noon slate games for Sunday. 3.5 point favorites for the Tennessee Titans. We're taking. God, this is already stumping me. You know what? No, we're getting gross this week. We're going Jacksonville Jaguars plus 3.5. Will Levis, I was just about to say it's gonna be a Will Levis show. That almost sounds more legal. Jacksonville. Talk about a team with nothing to play for. Trevor Lawrence dead, but somehow only 3-point underdogs. They're 0-6 on the road this year, right? But Tennessee Titans are 1-4 at home. So it's not like Tennessee has much of a. The 2-10 against 3-9. You're giving me 3 points for Jacksonville. I don't know. I think it's going to be who's there? It was that. He was the Patriots quarterback. Oh, Mac Jones. I think Mac Jones is starting. Yes, yeah. So I'm betting on Mac Jones this week. I'm taking the points. Let's go. Jacksonville on the road, plus 3.5. Mac Jones. Let's go. New York Jets at Miami Dolphins. The 3-9 Jets taking on the 5-7 Dolphins. -6 Miami. We're taking Miami money line here. We're not taking -6. Maybe for the sake of the show, -6, but we're taking Miami money line. The Jets are horrible. They lose. I mean, they were up 21-7 last week against the Seattle Seahawks. Blew that game. I mean, you're not going to. Miami, 5-7, the slimmest of hopes, but I mean, they're still trying to win out. So, I mean, give Miami the edge here, especially at home. Tyreek Hill's going to score a touchdown, too. I'm 1-0. I'm calling Tyreek touchdowns. He's going to score again this week. Jets are horrible. Their season's done. Aaron Rodgers is a bum. I'll still take the 5-7 Dolphins with a little bit of something more to play with. The Jets have absolutely nothing to play for at this point. Disappointing year for them. Happy Devontae Adams decided to go there. Really, really changed his career. Atlanta Falcons at Minnesota Vikings here. 5.5-point favorites for the Vikings. Give me the Falcons plus 5.5. Another gross one. 6-6. 3-2 on the road, though. So, hanging around. The Vikings, man, they're 10-2, but they're like escaping with some of these games. I mean, the Vikings are not, I mean, they're a good team, but they're not 10-2, right? So again, the Falcons who've been on a slide, you're going to give me 5 points for them? Give me 5.5 for the Atlanta Falcons. I think Kirk Cousins embarrassed last week. He's been embarrassed the last couple weeks. He's due for a good game. Give me Kirk Cousins and the Falcons plus 5.5. If you're bad, sprinkle that money line. New Orleans Saints at the G-Men here, at the New York Giants. New Orleans Saints -4.5. The G-Men 0-6 at home. The Saints 1-4 on the road. I mean, this is the most nastiest slate I've ever laid eyes on, but I kind of love it. Give me the G-Men plus 4.5 to get their first home win of the year, or at least almost their first home win. So lose on a game-winning field goal, I don't care. Give me the G-Men at the 2-10 G-Men at home. Is it Tommy DeVito? Is it Tommy Cutlets at the quarterback? Drew Lock. Even better. Even better. Drew Lock, baby. I saw him on Turkey Day. He didn't look great. He's going to improve today against the Saints. I mean, I'm telling you, the Saints are also, they have Alvin Kamara, but they just lost Taysom Hill too. They're my hero. If you saw last week, Taysom Hill was actually carted off the field. And it was just, it wasn't funny, but just the way it took forever. And they finally got him off and he just lifted that thumb up in the air. And then we got the alert out for the season. And we're like, God bless the Tate. I mean, he was their best offense, right? Because he can score at any point. Give me the G-Man. I mean, talk about a team nothing to play for, but they're just going to have a bunch of drunk fans that don't even know where they're at. And somehow the G-Man are going to rattle off some points. Give me the G-Man plus 4.5 here. Carolina Panthers, Philadelphia Eagles. You already know. Right, we already talked about this. Plus 13 for the Panthers. No explanation necessary. Browns Steelers here. Cleveland Browns at Pittsburgh Steelers. We're going to make more of a normal pick here. We're going to take the Pittsburgh Steelers on the money line at home. They're -6.5. After last week, what Jameis was bringing to the table, I don't want to mess with the spread. But I think the Browns, I mean, they had a chance to win that game. They couldn't. They're 3-9. The Steelers 9-3. If the Browns go into Pittsburgh and win, all power to Jameis and the boys. I mean, they could, right? I mean, they're a team that, again, has nothing to lose. But again, they're not good. The Steelers are damn good. And I think the Steelers are legit. I mean, I've been counting them out all year. I haven't been counting them out, but I just kind of think, it's just, but Russell Wilson is playing at a high level. That defense is good. Give me Steelers money line at home here. Bring us back to reality a little bit. Las Vegas Raiders taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers here at Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay -6.5. 2-10 Raiders against the 6-6 Bucks. Again, the way I've been picking them today, I want to say Raiders plus 6.5, but I'm not. I'm gonna make a normal pick. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers money line, huge. I mean, they need this game. 6-6. They won last week at Carolina. I think they ride the momentum. Give me the Tampa Bay Buccaneers against Aiden O'Connell and the Raiders. Who, hey, shout out Raiders for competing against the Chiefs. They had that game won if Aiden O'Connell did not, fuck that last couple. I mean, I don't even know. I mean, people can't even take a snap and knee the ball these days. And when you're playing the Chiefs, it seems like the ball is just bouncing all over the place, and you knew they just weren't going to win that game. But the Raiders playing a little bit better, but again, they ended up losing against the Chiefs. I think if the Raiders win that game, I'm going to take them this week, but they didn't. Give me the Buccaneers at home. Way more to play for. I mean, yeah, that could be a narrative of, Raiders playing spoiler, but I think the Buccaneers at home, Baker time. Give me the Buccaneers money line here. Seattle Seahawks at the St. Louis Cardinals at the Arizona Cardinals, -2.5 for Arizona. You know what? Give me the Seahawks here, buying a half point to +3. 4-1 on the road, just coming off a huge win at the Jets. And this is a huge game here. And I think with the Cardinals only being -2.5, I think if they were true favorites here, they'd be like -4, -5. But Vegas knows that Geno and the boys are playing better ball. Give me the Seahawks. These games are always close. I'm telling you, the Arizona, Seattle games are always grinded out games. Give me Geno and the boys on the road, +3. They've been playing great ball on the road. Cardinals, coming off a tough loss against Minnesota, I feel like this is what the Cardinals do, right? They drag you in. You're like, oh, Cardinals. And then they just kind of like slowly deflate their way out. I think the Seahawks come in there and win and at least keep it to a field goal deficit here. Give me Seattle. Buffalo Bills at the LA Rams, -3.5 for the Bills. Give me LA Rams +3.5 at home. Just seems like the type of game where the Bills have been hot. They just won the snow game. They're unstoppable. They're 10-2. The Rams, again, 6-6. They need this game like air. I think that, coming off last week against the Saints, going in there, getting that win, I think the Rams, and they look good in that second half. They look more like the Rams. I mean, the Rams play like they can. It'll be tough for the Bills at LA to like really play their style of game. I think the Rams, again, +3.5. Give me that spread, sprinkle that money line. I think the Rams come up. Because the Bills, even if they lose this game, they're still okay. The Rams need this way more. Give me the Rams. Sunday night here. We have 2 more games here. Sunday night, Monday night. Sunday night game. LA Chargers at Kansas City Chiefs. Chiefs are -4. Again, 6-0 at home against Jim Harbaugh and the boys. 4-2 in the road. Give me the Chargers +4. The Chiefs, man, I want them to lose so bad. And Chiefs money line if you want, but I'm telling you right now, the Chargers have looked legit. Herbert's playing at a high level. Their defense has been playing better. They have a running game. Their coach is great. Give me the Chargers here. Again, you put 100, 200 people in a room, guaranteed 95% of them taking the Chiefs here. We know ball here. We're taking the Chargers +4. I think that's a great line. I mean, you're getting an 8-4 Chargers team, and you're getting +4. I don't care if it's at Arrowhead or not. Chargers, baby, bolt up. Bengals Cowboys, last game here. Cincinnati Bengals at Dallas Cowboys. This is the true poop bowl here. True poop bowl. 2 teams that people were probably taking futures on them to win the whole thing. I mean, at the beginning of the year. Bengals are -5 on the road at the Cowboys here. Cowboys are 1-5 in Jerryland this year. And that's exactly why we're going to take them. Cowboys +5. The Bengals are frauds. They're the most embarrassing 4-8 team I've ever seen. They should be 8-4 or better, and they're not, which just means that you're bad, right? Yeah, and Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase get theirs, but ultimately, and I do like Chase Brown, but ultimately, the Cowboys are also just as equally trash, but you're getting 5 points at home versus another trash team. Give me +5. I mean, I think the Bengals could totally win, but I think the Cowboys, hey, they're coming off a win at they might have had a bye last week, or I'm not sure, but they did just beat the Commanders in the last couple weeks. And I think that they're going to ride that into this game here. I think the Cowboys break their home losing streak. Oh, yeah, no, they just won on Thanksgiving. What am I talking about? They beat so they're on a 2-game winning streak right now, right? They beat the Commanders. They beat the G-Men. Give me the Cowboys. They're flying high into this game. I like this. Bengals, trash. Give me the Cowboys, +5. Those are my picks. Parlay them, take them separately, whatever you want to do. I'll see you at the counter. Going into our last segment here, Fichtner League of Extraordinary Men, fantasy football, playoffs on the horizon. This might always will be my favorite segment on any podcast I do. The honor it is to host and talk about our fantasy football league from Elmhurst is just, not everyone gets to do that, right? And this is a league that's been going on for more than a decade. Same boys, couple, additions, subtractions, but most of the time the same crew. And it's that time of the year that just separates the boys from the men. It's the playoffs starting next week, last week of the regular season. Some fates are already decided, but some fates have not been yet decided in this league. And it's my honor to get to go through this with you guys today. I want to give a quick shout out to Matt Kleinhands, currently doing the dog challenge. Got to eat like 63 hot dogs in 1 week. He's about halfway done. I saw an update earlier today, and he has to videotape himself eating each one. He's living down in Tampa right now. And he's been a good boy. He's been filming. He's been doing it a different way each day. He was eating like a hot dog salad the other day. Shout out Mike Nasser, who had to do it the other year. It's a cultivating experience. It changes your perspective on things. You might never want to eat a hot dog ever again. So I hope I never lose because I love hot dogs and I don't want that to ruin the experience for me. I mean, 60 plus dogs in a week seems like you might have to go to the hospital. I mean, it seems dangerous. I don't know. He's eating like 12 dogs plus a day. And it's like, we're just watching him do it. I feel like we're responsible if something happens here. I wasn't the one that came up with this, so can't blame me. Come on. Don't take me. But I was part of it and I did go along with it. So I guess here's the implication to the police right here on the pod. But shout out Kleinhands for getting it done. I feel like it's good omens. He's been losing the last couple of weeks. So yeah, he's definitely trying to change up the mojo to get, his status back. And this could be it. It seemed like Nasser, once he ate the dogs last year, played better. So I think dogs equal good karma going into the last week of the year. But before I get into this week's matchups, I want to do a quick power rankings here on the last power rankings before the playoffs. And coming in at number 10 here, the only team that's technically eliminated from this year's playoffs is the Anaheim Angelos. Nick Pustojevic. It is now going on 10 years in a row that he has not made the playoffs. 10 or 11 years, right? It was either a decade last year and now it's 11 years, or it's a decade this year officially. I mean, that is impressive. 10 straight years, 0 playoffs, right? And this is someone too that I don't mind calling out because he didn't mind making his own little rebuttal podcast the last couple of years to try to get into my head. And it didn't seem to work out too well for him. As we're still here standing today, and he has gone 0 dark 30. He's made multiple, threats to quit the league, which he hasn't done to his credit. I mean, I don't know, 10 plus years not making it. That's a long time. So at number 10, a sad but true appearance here, the Anaheim Angelos, again eliminated from this year's competition. Number 9, we have the Minneapolis Mike Caputos, who's making a little late season push, still a 4% chance to make the playoffs here, coming in at 5-8. Would need everyone to lose here. Pretty much Big Sam, Bill South Beach, and then for him to outscore us, he would have to outscore, I think, myself by about 100 points. So if that happens, all power to the Caputos, but pretty much eliminated as well. Off year for the Caputos. It started off with an interesting draft for him, as he had to draft in a different country, so he was in a different time zone. So that's a tough way to start. We're all at the DraftKings Sportsbook. He is, streaming on the laptop. That's already kind of like a tough way to start because you're not with the boys. You're tired. You're not thinking straight. Tough way to start the year. 5-8 though. Ultimately, not going to get it done to make a 16 playoff. Minneapolis technically not eliminated, but looking like it this year, coming in at 9. At number 8, we have the commissioner who fumbled the bag last week. Well, I guess he didn't fumble it. McCaffrey fumbled the bag for him, needing a win to go to 6-6 to compete with RMT this week for that last seed. Not able to do it, moving to 5-8 as well. 70 points behind Bill South Beach. So technically not eliminated as well. He would need to win this week. He would need multiple things to happen. He would need to outscore me. We don't think that's going to happen. I've seen crazier things. But ultimately, the curse is real. Commissioner's down year is in effect right now. It looks like Boyd will be missing a playoff appearance this year as well. At number 6, right? Or sorry, at number 7, we have the Biederman Fundamentals, Mike Nasser, also fumbling the bag last couple weeks, man. Beats me a few weeks ago, and now he's on a slide, 5-8. I believe that might be a 3 or 4 game losing streak for him. Again, 5-8, not where you want to be at this time of the year. Can still make the playoffs though, right? So he's only about 25 points behind RMT. If RMT loses this week and Fundamentals win and outscore me by 26, he will get that last playoff spot. So definitely still a chance, 15% chance on ESPN. But, again, hard to do. But 26 points is definitely doable. So, I mean, if RMT fumbles the bag this week and Biederman's finds a way, he will be getting that last spot. But at number 7, we had Biederman fundamentals, just not chowing hard enough when it matters at this point of the year. Not able to find that locker room voice. At number 6, we have RMT himself, Bills South Beach Bitches, coming in at 6 and 7. We were 5 and 3. We've also been kind of fumbling the bag. We're 6 and 6 last week. Last couple weeks we've had, we've been on, we were 6 and 5. We're now 6 and 7. Couple tough losses to Nato and Holman, coming down to the wire. A lot of our losses have been down to the wire this year. Yeah, we've had a couple of flubs, but for the most part, single-digit losses, which hurt the most, especially when they're in, between 5 to 7 points. But at number 6 here, win and he's in this week, so we control our own destiny. We're playing the commissioner this week. We need a W. But even if we lose, as long as we outscore Biederman's by at least 25 points, we will get that spot. But we want to win this week. We want to go into the playoffs with a win and get to that 500 mark at 7 and 7. And then it's anyone's game, right? Then we're in the game. We're in it. Looking like we're close to that playoff spot. We're right on the cusp. Not going to say anything more. Not going to jinx. Knock on wood. Right? We're in it. We're in it to get to that playoffs this year. We're right there last week. At number 5, we have Big Sam, who looks like he's win or lose this week, going to get into the playoffs. He's also 6 and 7, but with more points for than myself by at least, I believe, by 40 points. So I guess I could outscore Big Sam by 40. I probably won't do. 40 is a lot, but it is possible. So he is 40 points higher than me. But if he were to lose and I were to win, I'd move up a spot and get to that 5 seed rather than that 6. If he wins and I lose, obviously he'd get that spot over me. Or if we both win and he has more points for, he'd get that 5 seed over that 6. Not too worried about the 5 and 6 seed though. Just give me the playoffs. I don't care who I play. At number 4, we have someone on a little bit of a slide, a 3-game slide in Peggy Boyd Take Your Kisses, Matt Kleinhand's hot dog challenge. Hoping for that dog reversal this week, eating those hot dogs, change that 3-game losing streak. But 7 and 6, he's clinched a spot in the playoffs. He's got that points for as well. Or is he officially not? Oh, I guess technically, yeah, okay, yeah, he's got that X. He's in. He's in the playoffs. Yeah, 7 wins gets you in. So coming at 4, looking to change that this week. Get back on track. At number 3, Commission's down year, Ethan Holman. Might be, besides Lebo, the hottest team in the league right now. 3-game winning streak. And I guess I should say, shout out Anaheim Angelos on a 3-game winning streak as well. Even though you're 4 and 9. So he was 1 and 9. Now he's 4 and 9. A little too late for the Angelos. But Commissioner's down year, moving to 8 and 5. I'm trying to get that bye. So if they win and Coughlin loses, right, Holman will have the points for. He's up by 70 points. Holman has the most points scored in this league by 40 points. Goes Holman, Lebo, Coughlin. If Holman wins, Coughlin loses, Holman will get that bye. So still something to play for this week for both squads. Good years by both players. Both going to make the playoffs. Both going to get a top 3 seed in this year's playoffs. So it's all about getting that bye for those two now. Love that it comes down to those two. Little rivalry factor here coming into the last week, even though they're not playing each other. Coming in at number 2 here, Team Cough Daddy, 9 and 4 on the year. He's a team, man, that he got hot at the right time. He was always solid this year, but he was just around the middle of the pack in the middle of the year, and now he's clearly a top 2-3 team in this league. He's a guy that's, as I said, needs to win this week to secure that bye. Unless if Holman loses, he automatically gets it. At 9 and 4, he'd be 9 and 5. Holman be 8 and 6. But if he wins, no matter what, he's got that bye. So Holman needs Coughlin to lose and Holman himself to win. Coughlin just needs to win. He controls his own fate for that second bye, which is always great to have, right? In a 16 playoff, getting that bye, money's on the line. You'll always take it, even if it ends up screwing with you. I mean, realistically, that's all fake mumbo jumbo. Having that bye always guarantees you into the semifinals, which I'll take every time. And at number 1 here, the 2x4s, Luke Liebert, 10-3 this year, having a hell of a year. Going for that first career championship. It's a cool storyline here. It's a man that he's been trying to get one for a long time. He's come close. He's lost in the finals. He's been making the playoffs most years. He's streaky, but he's for the most part about that action. Has been, a team that's been waiting to get that first dub. Along with Commission's down here, both these teams looking for their first career Fichtner Cup trophy here that you see right on the table here. Going for their first ship. It's a real thing. You got to get the monkey off the back, and it's something that they both want this year. I could see both of them competing for it. Right, they're two teams that But the cool thing about this Fichtner League is it's truly up for grabs. Anyone can win. So I'm not even going to make a prediction until I see a playoff bracket in front of me. But 2x4s have been consistently the number 1 team in these power rankings since week 3, I think. So congrats to Lebo for an unbelievable regular season. Win or lose, he will get that bye. I guess so. Coughlin is 27 points behind Lebo. So if Coughlin wins and Lebo loses and Coughlin outscores him, he could get that 1 seed even. Lebo with 10 wins secures himself a bye regardless. Probably that number 1 seed. Matchups this week. So going into our Fichtner Cup matchups, and we'll start with my own. The Bills South Beach taking on the Commissioner. Already started last night. So Thursday night ball, RMT had Montgomery. So 16.9 points. And the Commissioner with Green Bay D with only 1 point. So we love that we started him. Kind of a lazy start there. I feel like since he's like, I'll just keep him in. But they were only projected like 3 points. And going at Detroit, you never want to start a defense at Detroit. So we'll take that start. A 9.9 to 1 start. And we're taking Bills South Beach this week. It's going to be a battle, but we're a battle-tested team. We need a win going into the playoffs. We're taking myself over the Commission's down year, who's going to have to prepare for yet another poop bowl scenario for himself. Commission's down year taking on the Anaheim Angelos, also starting last night. The Angelos starting Detroit D for 4. Holman with Josh Jacobs, the 24.6. So 129 to projected 55. Whoa. What is Ticket must not have a lineup set yet. Oh, he must have guys on bye. Yeah, he's got Jaden Daniels on bye, Joe Mixon on bye. He hasn't put a player in for those guys yet. So it's Friday. I mean, you're 4-9. You might not put a guy in. So we'll see what he ends up doing there. But Holman's going to get the win this week. It's just a matter of will Coughlin get a win and will Holman find his way into that second bye. Third matchup here. Let me get this back on here. Third matchup. We have Minneapolis Mike Caputo's taking on Big Sam. Already started last night as well. 14-11 Minneapolis Mike. He had Jordan Love. Bates for Big Sam with an 11 spot. So both projected 106 right now. I like Minneapolis in this spot. I think that Minneapolis, continues his 3-game win streak, gets that 4th win, finish that season strong. Big Sam, though, I mean, right there, wants a win as well. Could go either way. It's a pick 'em. Give me Minneapolis to go out strong for this year's campaign. Peggy Boyd, Take Your Kisses, taking on Team Coughlin. God, I love that name. It's a great name. Already starting last night as well. Jahmyr Gibbs putting up a 16 for Peggy Boyd. Good start there for Mr. Kleinhans, trying to get that monkey off his back. Still projected to lose, though. 115-111. Coughlin has had no players yet to go. But ultimately, you'll take a Gibbs 16. Just like, look at that. Both Detroit running backs getting a 16 spot. That's hot. I think Sentato in the league has both running backs starting.
Yes,
So that's a hell. You would think 2 running backs. They're probably the only team you could really do that with on starting 2 of the same backs and both getting the same production. One or both goes off every game. So it's pretty amazing. And the last matchup, and we'll take Peggy Boyd to get that win against Cough Daddy. Every time I bet against Cough Daddy, he wins. So I think I'm helping him out here. But again, 3 games in a row lost for Kleinhans. Eating that hot dog challenge this week, I think he gets the monkey off his back and gets that win, going to 8-6. which I guess based on my predictions, Holman would get the bye. But yeah, so I guess prove us wrong, Cough Daddy. Get that bye, secure it for yourself and your livelihood. 2x4s taking on the Biederman Fundamentals. Last matchup here. Again, starting last night, the Biederman Fundamentals not having any players. The 2x4s having a Monron, only giving up 7. So kind of a slow start for 2x4s. Still projected to win 99-93. Fundamentals needs a win, needs RMT to lose and to outscore RMT. We're taking the Biederman Fundamentals here. I think they find a way to get it done. I think they're going to push RMT to the brink here, make them earn it, which is what we want. But I think Fundamentals break their 4-game losing streak, but I don't think they ultimately will make the playoffs this year, as RMT will just make it over that finish line. But those are this week's matchups going into the playoffs. So next week on the pod, we'll be having playoff matchups for the Fichtner Cup for all your fantasy leagues. So good luck to everyone that's in their own fantasy league. If you were lucky enough to make or the playoffs this year, it's been a weird year, but I feel like, football always rounds itself out. And again, this is the best time of the year for fantasy. Besides, week 1, red zone, Scott Hansen, I should say. Chris Hansen.
How dare you?
I know. Sorry, Satano. But yeah, Scott Hansen getting you started and then ending with Scott Hansen, for your playoffs at the end of the year is pretty sweet. So yeah, good luck to everyone and go Cats tonight. We're going to be in appearance. We need a W like air. Please, God, give us this day our daily bread. I mean, I'll pray whatever it takes for a Cats win tonight. So we're going to be in attendance. It should be a fun game. 8:00 start tonight. I believe Big Ten Network. So if you're looking to tune in, 8:00, Welsh Ryan, Evanston, be there. And that's a wrap. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Everyone have a great weekend. Have a great holidays. I hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving. Christmas right around the corner. So have good holidays, and I'll see you guys next week. Riddle Me That is out.